Take a seat. Thank you. You get my point. How do you explain experience? Right? How do you explain that? Right? Somebody's opportunity. Like it is opportunity, don't take me wrong. But how do you explain that? Right? Take a seat, thank you. But that's what it is, right? Once you experience it, there's how many of you know the old story, right? Anybody remember the old story, the dog barking at the rabbit? Anybody remember that? So there is this dog chasing a rabbit. Rabbit goes in the hole and starting to bark. He's like literally on the top of the hole barking it, right? And then two other dogs come. Why? What happened? The rabbit went in the hole. So they start barking. About 30 minutes, there's about 20 dogs barking. After a while, rabbit doesn't come. So the dogs started to leave. But there's one dog who can't leave. Which one is that? The one who saw the rabbit go in, right? You know what I'm saying? So those of you who are here, you saw the rabbit on the stage. You can't go anywhere. You with me? Does that make sense? Right? So I want you to understand that, because that experience of being here, of course you're learning, don't take me wrong. I hope you're taking notes. It's insane amount of information and knowledge has been shared. Hope you're taking notes. Please don't take me wrong on that. Right? But the experience, how do you go back and explain it? Like you'll have the same problem your uplines had explained to you. It's going to be awesome. Now you sound like it's going to be awesome. Well, anyway, I'm going to have Smita share, okay? Otherwise I'll blabber. So here you go.
All right. Wow. Atlanta is on fire. I remember coming to a conference just like this a few decades ago. I wanted to use the right word there. I wanted to say few years. Then I said, in this world of transparency, let's just put the right word in there. So a few decades ago, and just sitting here, and I remember being newly married and brand new in the business, and sitting in a conference like this, and and I had two things playing in my head. There was one person who's in my head telling me, "This is so good. These are people of value. This makes sense. I love being here." But then the middle class me, the person I was up until then, okay, would tell me that, "But you don't fit in. But you've never proved yourself in anything in business. What are you going to do here? They talk so much better than you. While you want to believe, and I remember wanting to believe, I remember just having that conflict through the whole thing. But by then, I think by the time it was done, I went back thinking, I might not be everything that they are on stage. But so many people wanting to give this encouragement, this hope to all of us. If I'm willing to just make a few changes, I have a chance. And that's all I needed. A chance, a possibility to step out of a middle class. Because I was sick and tired of being that middle class. Today middle class is different. They might drive a Model 3 Tesla. They do not drive Corolla anymore. It's a little bit upgraded, redefined, same thing. But, okay, so you think that, well, what is it that I want to accomplish? I remember having so many things, so many questions. I'm wanting to, one part of me wants to believe, wants to run with the business. The other part, just constantly harping on those questions. And, it's like you want to run, but you have this weight you're carrying with yourself. Okay, and what are some of those? I remember, first thing I remember when I got launched, there were all these products. I remember when I walked in, I did everything. I would multiply it with the conversion rate. It's 80 something right now. I was fresh in the country. So I remember just thinking everything is expensive. And I thought that was me because I was just new in the country. But when I went out, I saw everybody felt the same thing, like, oh, wow, something from Dollar Tree is this. And so I would, I would hear that again and again. And I would be like, okay, products are expensive. Okay, but so are your dreams. Can you afford all those things that you wanted with the life that you have going on right now if you eliminate the business? I did not have any way where I could have those choices that I wanted to have if not for this business. So getting real with myself. Now, that does that mean that I did not do my research? Yes, I understood how the products worked. I understood the cost comparison, the cost per use, all of that. But number one thing was a mindset is to understand is when you are the owner of a car dealership or a gas station or whatever, Subway sandwich, you do not end up eating Taco Bell, period. That's common sense. Okay, then don't get frustrated why your business is not growing. So understanding that, having that clarity to first educate so you know what your product stand for. It is not, it is not the cheapest thing we are after. It is the best value for your product we are after. Understand the difference. If everybody went for cheap, Dollar Trees would be flooded. They're not. Don't go there much, but I don't see too many cars in front of those stores. My friends, I remember talking to them. They, so many. It was probably very humbling experience. I remember talking to my friends, and when I started, I put a list and I started making calls. And the kind of comments that I got, one of them was, "Oh, even if you, why are you doing this? You don't have a job? Okay, why don't you send me your resume? I'll help you find a better job. Looks like it's not paying well enough." The next was, how concern is wrapped in skepticism. Okay. The other thing was, I remember them saying, I showed them a artistry, some product or something. And the lady said that even if you give it to me for free, I won't take it. I said, don't have your hopes so high. I'm not giving nothing for free here. Everything is for sale. If you don't like it, leave it on the table. And that day, I had to really understand what is the meaning of friendship. Are those people that we call them friends because we just meet them at work? Because of proximity, they are friends. Or are they friends because our values match? What is the definition of your friendship? I always think of it this way, that let's say I have a friend of mine who wants to grow a business. She wants to sell some food make some food at home and sell. The first thing I will never do is ridicule her. Never. I might or might not buy that food depending on if I like it or not. The first thing I'll never do is never ridicule somebody who's trying to create something for herself. Never put them down. That is your first definition of friendship. And if somebody is ridiculing you, making fun of the fact that you are out here working your evenings and weekends doing something productive, and just because you're not hanging out with them and getting highly spiritual and wasting money, they are no longer your friends. I am cool without some people like that. Are you okay with that? Some people are friends because they stand with you in your tough times. And then some people are friends with you because you have a car and they don't. You have a wallet and they don't. Figure out what kind of friends you have. Get a check on the kind of friends you have. I remember talking to my family. Them thinking, hey, we sent you all the way to America and all you found was Amway business? You couldn't find anything else? What's wrong with you? Build it anyway. Build it anyway. Do you tell everything to you? Let's talk about honesty. The parties that you attended, you told your parents about? Those girls or boys or whatever you have been seeing, those thems you're seeing. You've been telling everything, right, to your parents, and all those things on your credit card that goes in there, of course it's all legitimate. Right? So who are we fooling here, guys? So I understood that nothing succeeds like success. Build it anyways. Your family does not, I think our parents are the most, they will never wish bad upon us. They always want to protect us, but they're not always aware of what kind of environment we are in. They had never come to a conference like this. They had never listened to podcasts that we were listening to. They had not been in the environment. So they, with their lack of information, they were trying to protect us from whatever they knew. And if I fell for that, knowing everything I knew, who was stupid? Not me. You. And me. And me. I'll tell you this fast forward life. I talked about decades. My brother is sitting in this room today. He's starting, my brother and his wife, Sama and Shweta, they are starting their Q12 qualification next month. I have family members right here. Pratyush, brand new Q12 in qualification, getting into qualification, but 615 right now. I'm speaking future and 615 right now. Your family will come along. But why do you have to wait for that? Win anyways. Prove success, show them success so that they have no choice but to come on your footsteps. Why do you have to force them to get into your footsteps? When we went diamond, none of our family were in our first 6 legs. Maybe it's different for you. Maybe your family supports, and that's great. But even if they don't, that's great too. The world has enough people out there. Be willing to put yourself out there in the uncomfortable and get some no's and get your, go through, create some experience for yourself. And you know what? You will find those winners in your family too. They're just waiting to see you shine, to see your life change, how you live, how you make choices. And they will be even bigger examples because how you've lived your life. Give them the chance. Don't be always saying, oh, that is bad, this is bad. What's the difference between outside people and us if we have listened to all this positive stuff and we talk trash like them? So understand that. Okay? Sometimes I see people in undergrad, grad school telling me, I'm so tired. I don't have motivation when I come back from school and work, whatever, to build the business. I don't know how to sympathize with this because I always think of it this way. If you think 20s is hard, you think 30s is easier? Why don't you try 40s? 50s for sure. Some things you can get sympathy. This one, sorry, you're not getting any. Okay, understand that, you cannot expect that, I'll give the littlest and get the most. Find places where you can do the most and God has no choice but to bless you. Go and every evening, every weekend, whenever you have the time off, however your schedule works, see how you are out there building the business. Stop pretending like you like living a life like you have too many choices out there. We were in technology. There's one thing I knew. My coworkers, they would always say, I love technology. I said, which one? The one that you're working on is going to be obsolete in 1 year anyway. So the love that you have has to change. And now that AI is there is I don't even have words to explain what's going to happen. So this love that we have, it is itself in a changing form all the time. Do you love the technology or do you like the outcome of the work that your job pays you? Do you like that? So get real with yourself and stop fooling yourself, trying to tell yourself all these love stories which don't exist. I had to understand that, I grew up in a certain way because I was told certain things, and that's the only way I knew I could create money. Human beings always lean towards opportunity. I saw a better opportunity. Now I cannot pretend and close my eyes. No. It doesn't exist. I have learned all these years to study and get a job. I have to stick to that. No. I have a degree in electronics engineering. I got a job in computer engineering, which paid more. What did I do? I took the job which paid more. Why? Not because I knew it, but because I was willing to learn because it paid more. Simple. It's not rocket science, guys. You're so quiet, you're scaring me. So understand. I'll just end with this, guys. There's a lot of people you see on social media, and we live in a world where we are also making connections on social media. And sometimes you think, wow, look at my friends, they're living their best life. Okay, and here I am, every evening I'm sitting in some apartment. Every weekend I'm sitting and drinking black coffee with somebody. My life sucks. Okay, you might think all of that. And we think of having, wow, when is it going to happen for me? I'll tell you this. When I go on social media and I see some people who have really created success in life outside, they have created wealth. Even if they wear a simple gray t-shirt, you are thinking, wow, look at this person. They're so successful, but so humble. They wear a designer t-shirt, but it's gray. They're not flashy. Okay? But here is another person who has an average life, and they're wearing a real Louis Vuitton logo, monogram, blah, 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 all of that, okay? What are you going to think? Look at them. Again, they're buying fake stuff. It's a real one. But we're going to say that. So as much as we think people judge you by your social media presence, stop worrying about wondering what are people going to think. You like to have a great profile, that's great. That I have nothing against that. But understand that that is not how you evaluate your success. That is the difference. And do not feel like, oh, I need to be more this and more that, because this business, it will make you go sit with people. It makes you live 1,000 lives in the one life that you live. You sit with so many people, you live so many lives, and you almost feel so much richer just by the experiences that you acquire just living with people and hearing their stories. But I wish that you feel that you are creating this impact which you cannot do it any other way. We feel we're so privileged because of this opportunity. I mean, today, if we look at it, there are so many things that we even get exposed to because of the kind of success we have created. But nothing creates that excitement within Rashmi and I like us going out and building the business. So we are very excited, and here's Rashmi.
All right, so few more minutes with you. The process after the process is going to get a little boring, so just bear with me here. So after launch, right? A lot of us, there's a lot of conversations about, doing your MG1s, board plans, and how you prepare your candidate for launch. What happens after that is a little bit part of my topic is what I'm going to cover. So we talk about this initial excitement of launch and then the doubt and disbelief that IBOs go through, eventually getting to that steady growth phase, right? And so one of the things we want to talk about in there is what creates some of that, right? I don't have time to cover everything. The distractions and the questions that people have, right? Now, I'm going to give you the little bit perspective of IBO, and depending on time, I'll give you a little bit perspective as an upline who's working with that IBO. How do you kind of navigate that, right? So hidden questions are funny things. These are the questions people have, but they don't ask you. Because if they ask you, you'll cover it. Very easy, right? If somebody asks you a question, you won't answer it. But it's the ones that don't ask you is where the confusion comes in, right? And then the smart IBOs and uplines are those, who understand from your experience what question you had when you're in that phase, right? And continue to communicate that. So you can add that layer of belief, right? Some of the questions people always have is what? Can I do it? Right? And some of you have leadership at a 12% level or 3x6 or 615. Guess what a 615 guy is thinking? Can I do it? Can I go 975, right? What do you think the 975 guy is thinking? This diamond thing is too hard. Can I do it? There's always that question. Am I making sense to you? So anticipating that and communicating that. Now, sometimes there is no answer. The answer is, listen, when I was at your level, this is what I used to think, and it's normal. Am I making sense? Are you guys with me? Now, but at the same time, you got to logically answer yourself, though. If you are the one struggling that, and you got to ask yourself a question. If I'm willing to commit to starting a career at 20, 25, working till 65, if I'm willing to commit to 40 years of 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, am I willing to commit 2 to 3 years for it? That's not any less hard work. Can we all agree? Do you think 40 years of working 45 hours is less hard work? I don't think so. Right? If I'm willing to commit to that, can I commit to 2 to 3 years? Right? Logical question. Is it worth it? Right? There's always that. Oh my God, I come home and I got to do the podcast, I got to listen to this, and I got to go say hi to people. Is it really worth it? Like my buddy is going out hanging out, having fun. Right? Is it worth it? I don't know. You got to answer that question for yourself. We can answer that for you. Right? By the way, there are a lot of successful people in this room who make the money and still continue to work. Nobody said you have to build Amway full time. Nobody said that. Please don't, that's a personal thing. Is this thing real? Right? Everybody is like, oh, come on. Yeah, you saw all these people. They're not really real. And some people come here also, they still have the doubt. Listen, we are not hologram. This is real. Okay. It's real people. How do you know they make the money? Or how do you know your boss makes the money? Did the boss show you his paycheck? No. How do you know he makes the money? Well, the title says he's the boss. Well, what makes it the title makes the money anyway? Right? When you walk into the plane, you go check with the pilot, do you know how to fly? Man, that's life commitment. Man, that thing goes down, you're finished. Right? Believe. Right? Distractions can come in many forms, right? Positive distraction, negative distraction. Nowadays, people ask, what do you do? They're expecting a title. I have no title. I don't know. Spend time with my wife, play with my kids. No, what do you do? Help people. No, what do you, they're expecting a title. I don't have a title. I hate one actually. Yeah, I come from Asia. I know you can't tell. Back home, people have title even after retirement. Retired engineer. Oh my God. Retired branch manager. Oh, deep stuff. Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. Getting married, having a baby, they're all good things, right? You see this couple hanging out, hosting the function, right? They're getting married in like 3 weeks. He's like backstage, like, oh, we're getting married, right? That's a good thing, positive things. But then suddenly doubt people like, oh, we can't do this because we had a baby. Yeah, what do you want? Look at the baby 20 years later, say, we didn't build it because you're so cute. I mean, like logic, after a while, logic fails miserably. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, give yourself some grace. Take a breather. It's okay. I mean, you got to recover. We get it. We all went through that. But you didn't quit your job. Like, you know what I'm saying? Right? Why building is an optional question mark every time you turn around, Why can't that be a constant? Right? Think about that for a second. Are you with me? Sometimes negative things. Nowadays, job loss, right? Microsoft posts, 35% of the codes are being written by AI. Week later, 7,000 layoff. Like, what the heck? Right? It's happening more and more, and more productivity with less people because of technology. So they don't need as many people, but the market caps are going up for the companies, right? Sometimes you're like depression. Oh my God. Well, isn't that why you build it though? Think about that for a second. I mean, ideal places, you should have built it 2 years before you had a job loss. That's ideal. So at least when you have a job loss, you have something to fall back on, right? Agreed? Yes or no? The second best place is now. Right? I remember somebody gave me a talk. He said, listen, if 20 years ago was the best time to build it, you are not alive. So what's the point? Or if 30 years from today, it will be, who cares? Today is the day, right? Agreed? Yes or no? Today is the day. Right? Think about that for a second. But is that going to happen? Stuff happens, right? Fall sick, loss in family, right? We all go through those things. Agreed? Take a breather. Give yourself some grace. It cannot be for everything that happens, the victim is the future that you build with your own company. How can that be a victim? This is where I fail to realize. And that's what is like, everything you learn from here, you can take it and get a promotion in your job. And you should, when you develop the people skills, communication skills, it should help you in all areas of your life. And you should. Right? I love the people say, I'm good. They quit Amway. They're like, you meet them 3 years later. Everything I'm doing like now, I learned in Amway. But you didn't build Amway, so you didn't learn everything. Like, I failed to get it. Like, listen, there are a lot of, like, I don't want to start naming names. There are a lot of successful people you saw on the stage and you'll continue to see. You saw the professional panel, extremely successful people. But they have that fundamental respect for value and culture. And they respect the fact where they learned what they learned and they still want to continue to. Like, that's what I never understood. Yeah, great, promoted. Awesome. Make extra $100,000 in your job. Awesome. Happy for you. But the day you quit, right? Yes or no? The day you stop, the dollar stops coming in your job. Agreed? Yes or no? Now, as an upline, I'm out of time. If you're dealing with anybody in your team going through it, learn to have patience. Learn to sit down, have a cup of coffee. Learn to listen to people more. Be okay with the silence. Sometimes not talking is the best thing you can do when you sit down with somebody. Have a cup of coffee, put a smile and say, so what's going on? Hey, listen, man, when I was 1000 PV, these are some that my brain was thinking like this. Listen, that's a great question. Let me give you a podcast that can help you out. Phenomenal thinking. That one of the books that helped me when I was going through that, boom. Right? Hey, man, listen, I don't know if I know exactly what you're thinking. I remember thinking, why don't I connect you to my business coach? Maybe take a couple of minutes of his time. Let's dig into his or her brain a little bit. You with me? Am I making sense? Sometimes you don't have to know on the answers. One of the things I struggle with people, this is happening, what do I do? Sometimes nothing, just learn to smile. It's okay. Just because you ask doesn't mean I have to answer. It doesn't mean I need to have the answer. Just being there, listening to people itself changes a lot of things. But here's the biggest thing is you got to learn to expect that every IBO is going to go through those phases in life. These are phases, right? And how can you be there for them? Build that belief back up, right? What belief builds the belief? The environment builds the belief. The events builds the belief. The podcast builds the belief, right? Little successes in the team builds the belief. Then you register a new IBO, they went 3%, 6%, builds the belief, right? Yes or no, right? Listen, move on. Succeed in your career. You're supposed to. Move on in life. Yeah, get out of that apartment. Buy a house. You're supposed to. But I hope in the middle of all of that, you realize the long-term nature of what we're trying to build with Amway and with all these people. You learn to respect by no means I'm telling you Amway is perfect. The day they stopped that Mocha access, that's it. That was game over, man. Like, I have conversation with Amway staff. I'm like, dude, hello. Coffee is separate budget. Excuse me. So I'm not telling you Amway is perfect, for sure. Guaranteed. They stopped excess green tea, now Mocha. What the heck, man? Anyway. Right? Nothing is perfect. Neither is your iPhone. There's a new version coming, okay? So, you with me? But given the environment of what we can do, what we can create, the community we can be part of, it's powerful. So hopefully you cherish that, right? Love you guys.
For the calendar year 2024, the average income